Are you ready for the ultimate bikepacking weekend adventure? Join us for an unforgettable self-supported bikepacking trip through Southwest Virginia. The Grayson Gravel Pie Bikepacking Adventure travels along the Virginia Creeper Trail, the beautiful gravel roads of Grayson County, Virginia, and the New River Trail. All lodging and camping arrangements are included, along with daily routes and guides riding along with you. This self-supported adventure offers resupply opportunities every 20 miles for your food and water needs. Find out more at graveltraveldirt.com.
You're listening to Mid-Atlantic Gravel, Travel, and Dirt.
Hi everybody, I'm Brian, and this is episode 252 of Mid-Atlantic Gravel, Travel, and Dirt. If you're new here, folks, this is the podcast where we talk about gravel bikes, adventure biking, bike packing, bike camping. One more time this week, we're going to talk a lot about Pennsylvania gravel. We're also going to throw in a couple of pieces of North Carolina gravel, and all of it, folks, is just about playing bikes. Joining me this episode, Ryan Fulton from Trans-sylvania Productions. He puts on, we only talked about 5 gravel events in Pennsylvania and 2 events that he does in North Carolina. You can get the names of all of them later here in the podcast. But what a great conversation. What a guy. He really loves what he does. And it's obvious, putting on events is a passion for him. And I think anytime you have somebody that follows their passion and does something like this, it's going to come through. It's going to shine through in the product. So make sure you listen a little bit later to what Ryan has to say and check out some of his events in Pennsylvania and in North Carolina. Before we get to that, though, remember, folks, there's some great discount codes over in the show notes. Make sure you head over there to check them out. You'll also find the link to Trans-sylvania Productions where you can go find out more about all of the events. Now, I just realized, friends, that I did not prepare my Strava Club for last week. So we are going to go and fly blind and just jump in and grab some randomly, and bear with me while I get over there. If you're looking to join the Strava Club, and we hope that you do, strava.com/clubs/gravel travel dirt. Check that out, or just go to the search bar and look for them. So I will, first and foremost, drum roll. Y'all are really, really responding to the all calls to put members into the Strava Club. Last week we were at, can you hear me smiling here? Last week we were at 976. This episode here in 252, we're up to 990 members. So we are inches away from me growing a mustache, which is not going to be nearly as impressive as Joey shaving off his whole beard and keeping nothing but a mustache. He threw out there April 1st as the date that was going to happen. And Joey, I think he's about getting ready to say bye-bye to the mustachio. 27th place today, Nick Marzano with 190.9 miles. I don't know where people are from. It would take me too long to click. I'm just randomly picking numbers. John Gray with 156.8. Is that the same guy? Is that the one that Joey keeps saying keeps popping up? I'm not sure what that is. Charlie Coleman, 164.1 miles. Let's do something interesting. Let's see who did the longest ride for the week. Cade Reichenberg, 147.2 miles. And who did the most elevation gain? One more time, 147 miles. I think you're also going to get elevation gain, but that's 18,000 feet for the week. I actually want to see what this ride was that Cade did. Cade, that is a big day. It says new bikepacking destination Pueblo. First of many shakedown rides before the Tour Divide. Fantastic, outstanding. Cade is from out in Lakewood, Colorado, doing some big, long days which I guess is what you're going to do when you race the divide. So, Kate, if you listen in, give us a shout out and let us know how we can follow along. To reach the top 100 for the week, you are going to have needed, let's see, scroll to the bottom, 124 miles. So numbers are back up again. Numbers had fallen down last week, but we've added 12 miles back again to 124 miles. Because spring is coming. Spring is coming, friends, and it'll be here before you know it. Listen up now. I'm going to flip the switch, and we're going to start talking to Ryan over at Trans-sylvania Productions. Stick around and enjoy the conversation.
Alrighty.
All right, joining me now, Ryan Fulton from Trans-sylvania Production. Now, Ryan, you're the owner and race director at Trans-sylvania. Why do I have a hard time saying that? Trans-sylvania Productions and Blue Ridge Adventures, but you said we're not going to get into Blue Ridge Adventures too much. So, Blue Ridge Adventures, give us the 50,000-foot view.
Yeah, Blue Ridge Adventures. It's a new company that I acquired last year. We have 7 mountain bike races, with one of those being a stage race and a gravel race.
Okay.
All there in western North Carolina, kind of like Asheville, Brevard areas, Old Fort. So
we may have talked a little bit about that last time you were here. Now, Ryan's been on the podcast before, and I think I vaguely remember talking about that. You may have just actually dipped your toe into that the last time you were here.
Yeah, I think it was shortly after I kind of took over the company.
Okay.
Was when we did the first podcast with y'all. So yeah, we talked about it a little bit. I probably didn't know much about it since it was new to me, but yeah, I've been racing that company for a couple years before I bought it, so I was familiar with it on the side of being a racer, but obviously not the behind the scenes stuff of all the production towards it. So
got it. So Trans-sylvania Productions has gravel events that take place in North Carolina and Pennsylvania. You also do mountain bike races in North Carolina and Pennsylvania, and also some running races, correct? I remember that from the last time we were here.
Yeah, we have 2 gravel races in North Carolina now. This year we're doing 5 gravel races in PA, along with a gravel stage race. Have 2 mountain bike races in Pennsylvania, 1 mountain bike race in North Carolina that we just did over the weekend. And we kind of had some other run races, went down to 1, and it's actually taken a year off in 24. We had to move the mountain bike race that went along with it, and it fell on the weekend of the biggest trail run race in the state on that same day. So I kind of was smart about not trying to compete with that race that gets like 1,500 people. So hopefully we'll have it back. I love the run community, and it's the same course as we do the mountain bike, so it's pretty easy on the logistics side of things. So.
And you're familiar with it, so it's one of those like why not? And some of those ultra runners, I don't understand how they do it. To be fair, I don't have a clue. I don't like running up the stairs. And to consider running, like, what do they do? Like, they run like 50 miles or something like that, right?
Some of them can be pretty crazy. They're a little crazier than mountain bikers are sometimes. I'd rather ride the mileage than run it, like you said. I don't think I've really run since they were forcing me when I was in the Marine Corps back in the day. But it's great though. To see what they can do.
I don't think I knew that. Thank you for your service. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
I don't think we picked up on that last time. Well, you with all of this stuff going on, I may have hit this at the last time too. I don't understand how you have time to do much of anything else with all of this going on. It sounds like a very, very busy schedule. Hopefully you got a lot of people working.
Yeah. I keep myself busy. This year will be a little easier. Last year was a complete mess with taking over the new company and no one to talk to for permits, getting all that stuff figured out. So, I think I rode 470 miles myself last year. That wasn't a real fun year, but 24 would be a lot better. It's easier already knowing who to talk to and knowing what permits need to be for what, and et cetera, et cetera. I think I've already ridden like 350 miles this year, so I'm making a little more time for myself and trying to get back out to races and support the other race directors out there. So
good. You consider yourself probably are you more of a mountain bike guy yourself personally?
Yeah, I kind of started out as a mountain bike guy, but I think I'm kind of leaning towards the gravel just for the fact that I don't, not riding that much. like gravel. I hate being that guy on the mountain bike trail that's in the way, and you're trying to pass them. So obviously with the gravel, it's just easier to stay on the right side of the road. Someone wants to pass you, they go around on your left. So
Well, that's me on both of the sides of both those disciplines. People are trying to get around
yeah,
me. So, so let's talk a little bit about. We'll get to Pennsylvania in a minute because I know that's got like a whole big thing with the series behind it. Let's talk about the North Carolina gravel events now.
yeah,
Let me see if I get the pronunciation of this right. Uhari.
close. Uwari, I believe, is how it's. Yeah,
Uwari. Okay. That's the Uwari Forest Gravel Grinder. That's March 30th, so that's not that long out.
yeah, about a month away.
And you've got two distances on that one. 55 miles and 4,400 feet of elevation and 30 miles and 2,300 feet. Tell us about that event. What's Uwari like?
Yeah, this will be our 7th year or something like that. Yeah, it'll be our 7th year. First year was 2018. If you've never been to Uwari Forest, I feel like it's kind of like a hidden gem. It's just kind of one of those, it's almost like a day trip because it's about an hour and a half from Raleigh, an hour and a half from Charlotte. So it's kind of with all the trails and stuff to ride around those cities. A lot of people don't make their way over there, but we do this in the Baden Lake Rec area. Nice little area. There's 2 different campgrounds in there, so if people want to make a weekend of it, there's more than enough opportunity for that. But it's great gravel. We do like a 25-mile loop. I mean, that's the only bad thing about there. There's not a lot of gravel to make a long course, not do the same thing. But I've never really had anybody complain to me about the loop system, which is good. I think it's such a great place to ride that people kind of look past that.
Yeah.
I know sometimes the guys that do the two loops, for your like lead guys, they'll kind of take an easy first loop, especially if they've never ridden there before. And then the second loop, it's kind of like game on, and, it's kind of like a truce, the first loop, the second loop, like I said, it's, all out for that. But it's probably 95% gravel.
Okay.
There's only like one section that has some pavement. So whether people like or don't like, the gravel pavement difference, it's good for them there. We used to do what we called the Jeep climb. There's some OHV trails in there. That's kind of like what that area is known for, is OHV trails.
Horrible.
Oh, it really was. I think it started scaring people. Our numbers kind of went down, and I took that out last year, and we probably went up like 100 people. So there's a few people out there that give me a hard time every year that I don't have it in there now. So
they go do that on their own. You go suffer all you want.
Yeah, so it's great. I mean, the climbing's kind of difficult there. They're not real long climbs, but there's a lot of like up and down roller coaster. But like they do a lot of improvement on the trail or the roads there. From the first year we did the race in 2018, there was one out and back section that had, I mean, it was nothing but craters and rocks that were visible. I mean, put it this way, I was driving my truck marking a course, probably going like 10 miles per hour. So you're probably faster on a bike. And I think that year we had like 50 flat tires from the racers. It was crazy. But they've done a lot of improvement each year, laying new gravel. It's pretty well packed down. You'll still have a little kind of technical spots with some rocks and stuff like that. But to me, that's kind of the spirit of gravel, so
absolutely.
Don't want it to be like a road, flat surface, but, yeah, I mean, it's great. We have a lot of people come back every year that enjoy riding out there. When I go out there to mark the course, I try to ride some when I can. And, it's just, like I said, it's just a great place to ride. The start finish is up on a peninsula around the Baden Lake. It's a lot of fishing lake. It's pretty big. You'll see some jet skis and stuff out there, skis. So it's a nice little view. Have a pavilion that we do our post-race meal at and stuff. So it's kind of a nice view there at the end and the start, and just a good day for everybody.
Now, I kind of like the two-loop monster crosses like that. And one of the reasons that I enjoy that is, your tip of the spear guys and gals, sorry, don't want to go there, that are out there doing the 2 laps, that are going hard and doing the 2 laps. You're getting at that other distance, you're getting that same experience. And when you get done at the end of the day, everybody has had that shared experience. It's not like somebody did a part of a route or a part of the trail that somebody else didn't do. You can talk about, this or that section or that stupid Jeep hill or whatever it is. So you're getting that same kind of experience. And Uwari, that you said it's an hour out from Raleigh and an hour from Charlotte?
I think it's about like an hour and a half each one.
Okay.
I think one's a little closer than the other, but give or take about an hour and a half. 15 minutes or something like that from there. So
that's positioned well. That's in a great spot, and I love the camping that's wrapped around gravel events. That's kind of something that I really enjoy as well. So that sounds like a great event. Sounds like fantastic time. March 30th. So that's early. You still got spots available for people to jump in on that one if they're looking for it?
Yeah, I think we're probably about 50% full right now.
Okay.
People are getting back to weather watching or waiting a little later. One thing with this race, I kind of cap it at 200. We could go more, but it's just the logistics. If I don't know till the race week, it's kind of hard just because of parking and stuff like that. So like if people sign up early, we sell it out. I can try to find some extra parking. There's like a group campground just down the road, or talking with the forest about some other parking spots. So that's kind of an important one, other than other races, to sign up early if you can.
Have you found those forest people easy to work with? I know sometimes there's problems.
Yeah, they're usually pretty good.
Good.
It's a place. It's one of those places that's out in the middle of nowhere, so they appreciate the revenue kind of coming into the area. So there's one outpost that we work with called the El Dorado Outpost. Nice little general store. They got food in there, just some general store items, gas station, and it's just right in this area where we do the gravel race at. And we have a really nice barbecue from them. So if people have done the race before, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. This is some of the best barbecue I ever had, and they give us some great sides. Like we had them over the weekend. We had some coleslaw, cheesy potatoes, baked beans, and then the barbecue. And the barbecue guy makes his own sauces and that. So it's some great stuff, in my opinion.
Can't go wrong.
Yeah, definitely not.
So Uwari, flipping the script now from North Carolina, from a place with elevation, we're going to go out to Holly Shelter, which is July 6th, and that's out on the coast. And I'm looking at the elevations and the distances. Let's just disregard elevations because it's probably not really real anyway. You got two distances, the 54 and the 32. And now what people always forget about no elevation means that there's no downs either. So it can be an effort. Tell us a little bit about Holly Shelter.
Yeah, Holly Shelter, just north of Wilmington, North Carolina, maybe half an hour or something. Probably a little longer for where we do start finish. We're kind of on I guess you'd call it the northwest side of the area there. So it's a game land, hunting game land that the state owns. We use it in non-hunting season, so it's actually a closed course to everybody, which is great.
Oh, that's great.
So we start off in one part and kind of a neutral. I'm not really a neutral ride, but I send everybody and we go down about a mile and a half on a state road and then back into the game land. So the one area that's not in the gated area, it's you have all 200 riders out there in a nice big group. So and the nice thing too, the road's not heavily trafficked. So on that really quick and back into the game land, and we have it all to ourselves, other than maybe some staff driving around for SAG vehicles and aid stations, whatnot. But I think it's a great place. Like I said, it's flat, which people, there's always a debate whether flat or mountains is harder. I live in Myrtle Beach, so I deal with the flat headwinds, and it just can be miserable sometimes. I'd almost wish I had the climbing than the flat headwind. But nice thing with this game land, you'll probably ride for 10 miles. We start off in like a pine tree area, and then you'll go into kind of a swampy area. So you the terrain keeps changing on you. So it's not like I'm doing 50 miles of the same boring wilderness, So every 10, 15 miles, you have a little different view, which is really cool, unique to the area. And you kind of get a little bit of every surface out there. Like I said, you'll start on pavement, and that's another race that's mainly pavement. That mile and a half is the only pavement that you'll be on. So, it's 53 miles for the long course and 31 miles of gravel for the short course. But you'll get some packed gravel, some sandy areas. Now there's not as much sand as there used to be. There was one section that was kind of like a cross race, and the photographer's like, "I'm going right there." So there was some people. It was like 100, yards of sand, and some people didn't like it. Some loved it, and the farther back you were, the more tore up it was, and a little more running you had to do. But most of the sand's gone. You'll get some where it's just straight dirt. Trying to, again, just more packed gravel. So it's a nice combination if you don't want to be riding the same thing on a course the whole time. This is definitely a race that'll give you some variety out there with the
spice of life,
the course. Yeah, exactly.
Now I was going to ask you to test my memory, because I'm pretty sure we talked about the sandy section the last time you were here, and that's a piece that stuck in my mind, and I was wondering if it was still there or not. So.
No, we took. There was a one. So this will be the fourth or fifth year. First year was 2018, but we had a year or two off from COVID, and then they changed personnel there, so I wasn't able to get a hold of anybody to get permits in 2019. But whatever the case, I think it was the 22 year. There was probably a 10 to 15 mile section that was mainly sand, and we never had a problem because we always had rain lead into the race. But then in 22, it probably didn't rain for 2 weeks, so that 10 to 15 mile section of sand was like you were at the beach. And so it was a miserable time for a lot of the riders. So I changed the routes last year, and took that out just so there wasn't that chance. Like I said, never happened the 3 other years we did the race, and then stuff you don't think about till it kind of happens on you. And unfortunately, it kind of made for a bad day for some people. But the new route was pretty well liked last year, so took on some new roads that we haven't used before, and then just kind of changed directions on some other ones. So worked out pretty good.
What's the vibe on like where you stay? Is you said it's near Wilmington. Is Wilmington close enough by where that's where people kind of stage out of? What's that look like?
Yeah, I stay in Wilmington myself the night before. It's probably a half an hour drive. Okay. You would have like Hampstead and Topsail Beach area, Surf City, if you're wanting to kind of go to the beach, but that make you a little longer drive for the fact that you're like on the southern end of the course. But again, with that being a gated area, you'd have to drive around. I don't think it'd be much farther than driving from Wilmington, maybe 10 minutes, give or take. So some people bring their families, with Wilmington there. It's a nice tourist town. Sure. Like I said, the beaches there in Topsail Beach and Surf City. So, we've had guys come up from Florida, other places like that, bring their families or even themselves, just come and have a little weekend vacation there by themselves or with the family, and, just make the best of it. So
now that one is July 6th.
Yep.
So starting to get hot. So you're going to have to deal with that too. Starting to get a little heat and humidity there on the coast. Let's talk about, let's go to Pennsylvania. Let's go north to the Pennsylvania events. And you've got 5 events that are all a part of the Pennsylvania Gravel Series. You got the Bald Eagle, you got Parker Dam, Camp Michaud, Mid-State Gravel, and Trough Creek, that all are a part of that series. Before we get to the individual events, let's talk a little bit about how that series works, because that's cool.
Yeah, so I think this will be the 3rd year for the series, or 4th year now. I think 4th year, 5th year. I don't know. The years just keep going.
They all run together.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the 4th year. It might be the 5th year, but whatever the case. So they're spread out around Pennsylvania, more in central PA. As I'm sure a lot of people know, there's just gravel everywhere in Pennsylvania. We've been doing, we did this in 23 and also here in 2024 to be the best 3 of 5 for the series. So if you do all 5, you would drop to your low scores. If you only do 3, those 3 you do is towards your series points. And then we're doing awards at the end. We've done a custom jersey for the category winners each year. So we try to give a little more into it and, to give people something to shoot for through the whole year. So we start in April. The series goes through September.
It's cool. That's fun. I also saw somebody gets like a wrestling championship belt. Is that a thing? Did I see that right?
I'm going to do that this year. Wanted to do that last year, but then the craziness of that new company never got around to it, unfortunately. So, the category, I'm sorry, the open men and women categories will get the championship belt, and then everybody else, first, second, and third, we do some nice wood awards from our friends at Regeared out of Texas. So.
Now, the belt, is it like in wrestling or in boxing where they hold the belt for a year and then they have to give the belt back, or do they actually keep the belt? Is it theirs?
I think this one will be keep. We did those ones like that where it'd be a little more custom, can be kind of pricey. We do that with the Trans-sylvania mountain bike epic. So I moved that into keep it for a year and have to return it. So
all right.
So I like the idea of the belt, just something different. I've seen a couple of races have belts, but not many have it out there. And like I said, I started with the Trans-sylvania mountain bike epic and seemed really cool to do.
It's fun.
Everybody laughed about. Yeah, exactly. Just
fun.
Something different. So, going to bring them into the gravel series and probably some of like our Pisgah Triple Crown series there and Blue Ridge Adventures for the mountain bike series we have there. Probably be doing that there as well.
So for each of the 5 events, each one has 3 distances. So in the series, do you compete? You're always, if you want to do the longest distance, you do the longest distance on each one, and that's how your points tally? Is that how?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
distance and category. Obviously you can do whatever you want, but if you're wanting to kind of go for the series points, you have to stay in that same distance, the same category that you started with. So,
and in the event, does everybody who starts that's entering into the series, do they score points as a part of their finish? Is that how it works, or is there a cutoff where you don't get points if you're past a certain place?
Yeah. So if you finish the race, we start at 100 points for first place, and then you drop a point every place. So second place gets 99 points, third place gets 98, et cetera, et cetera. If you would DNF, you get 0 points, unfortunately. You do have to finish. And we did have it where if you at least started the race, we still kind of count that as a race towards the series. But obviously if you get a 0, like, you're most likely not going to be on a podium for the series. But I always kind of hated that with other races, race series, nothing against other race directors, but, kind of felt like you weren't there. I mean, obviously you went and kind of participated in a way, but you weren't able to finish for whatever reason. So I kind of wanted to at least recognize that they started the day. So,
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. I bet you, do you ever have, like, in that last race, do you have like those, like, we're watching this one and that one and trying to, does it come down to that last race sometimes, or?
There's always a couple categories. I mean, some of the categories, you get the fast guys and gals that wrapped it up after their first 3 races. I think last year we had like at least 3 categories that it came down to the last day, and you weren't first, second, or third, could go to anybody depending on what happened. How they placed that day, and so it's kind of like with the series, you got to be in it to win it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you could be somebody never podiums on a race podium, but you're consistent enough through the year, you could make the series podium. So it's kind of, and then you never know. It's just like a stage race, really. You could have a mechanical one race or just a bad day where you bonk or whatever, but you just, you never know. If you're going to that last day and it's between you and somebody else, they could have a terrible day or not finish for whatever reason. And, you finish and you got that spot. So it's kind of like I said, you're got to be in it to win it and never know till the end. So,
so not everybody's a racer, but it's fun to have this kind of competitive environment for those folks that are. And if somebody wants to come to one of the events, let's dive into Bald Eagle. So that's April 14th. in Pennsylvania, and I'm assuming Bald Eagle State Forest.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. So say I'm not somebody who's interested in going hard and going fast. What's in it for me with Bald Eagle Gravel Grinder?
Yeah. We kind of do this one on the opposite side of unpaved. So we actually start and finish out of the scout camp where we do the Trans-sylvania Mountain Bike Epic.
Okay.
So we're kind of on the western side of Bald Eagle compared to unpaved starts on like the east side. So kind of get some of the areas that race doesn't touch. We go in some areas that Dave has with their event. So Bald Eagle, lots of climbing, great descents. We go on one, what do they call it? Like, the unmaintained trails that are
Jeep roads. Yeah.
So I don't go on the crazy ones. I did test them out a few times. What does Dave call that one?
The difference, Longwell Draft.
Yeah. I was driving my truck. He doesn't even
do that anymore. Did you know that? He doesn't even do that anymore.
Okay, yeah. I drove my truck on that. It's kind of one way in, one way out. I think it took me like 2 hours to get through that thing, and I'm like, I'm not marking the course on this section. So
there you go.
Yeah. Like Bald Eagle's a great, beautiful forest. When you start farther, you kind of get east in the forest, like you got some great views. A lot of rock gardens on the hills, if you would want to call them that, mossy areas, some really great streams. It's just stuff I love about Pennsylvania. I call it kind of like PA streams and, just that kind of foliage. So, it's a beautiful place. Great for the racers if you're just wanting to come and ride the day for the camaraderie with people and, have some aid stations out there for you. That's great as well. We do have cutoffs, just obviously it's kind of unfortunate thing you have to have just with volunteers out there and just everybody's safety. But they're usually pretty generous. It's probably like 8 to 10 miles per hour is what you'd have to do to standard that. And really, we don't ever have anybody we pull off the course. So then maybe like a mechanical that would really slow them down. But, if everybody's riding, we've always had people finish, and I try to have everybody finish that's available or has the ability to finish. I hate to try to pull anybody off, but like I said, sometimes the cutoffs are kind of an unnecessary evil or a necessary evil. So
it's got to be safety first, and if you're really going to pull somebody off the course, I think it's got to be that's the primary concern. So and some people don't particularly care for that, but that is what it is. You got three distances. You got a 73, the 46, and the 31. The 73, 8,000 feet, the 46, 5,000 feet, and the 31, 3.5. And it's that adage. If you're in Pennsylvania, it's 100 feet per mile.
Right.
It is really what it comes down to, I think, is how many climbs there are, as opposed to like how much elevation gain there is. It feels like almost.
Yeah.
And I didn't look at all, but I looked at some of the profiles for the different routes, and some of them, a couple of these routes, I can't remember which one it was I looked at, but there was like 8 significant climbs during the course of a day. And now Bald Eagle, where can people stage out of for that one? What can they look forward to there?
Yeah. So, even though we hosted out of a scout camp, unfortunately we don't have camping set up with that.
Okay.
In the camp or the scout camp off season, they do a lot of, weddings to make some money in the off season to keep the camp going. So, we host a race on Sunday because of that. So we're basically kind of in Sunday morning and out. But there's a Seven Mountains campground off of 322 that's maybe, 3/4 mile away. A lot of people stay there for the Trans-sylvania Mountain Bike Epic. So that's always been a positive place for people. They have some little cabins there. You can also tent camp, RV camp, stuff like that. And then there's also Poe Patty and Poe Valley State Parks, probably 10 to 15 miles into the forest. We'll actually pass them on the routes, but those are options for people as well. I wish we could do the camping, but it's just that weddings kind of gets them more money than what we can give them. So
absolutely. I don't know how people afford to get married anymore. That one is April 14th. How many people? What's the cap? Your number of entrants for Bald Eagle?
Yeah, cap's 300. Okay. I'm not sure exactly what we're at right now. I haven't looked at it recently. I think we're around like 100. Last year we were just at the sellout. So
Okay.
Another one of those, it's first race of the year. Obviously, people are excited to start riding again, especially up north. Obviously, March, April is kind of when the weather starts turning good. Last year, if I remember right, we had really nice weather. I actually drove up. We had the Pisgah stage race ending on the Saturday of the race weekend, and then I was up there Sunday morning by like 10 o'clock, and another one of our or one of my like assistant race directors, Gunnar Berge, puts this one on for me because it just kind of falls in place with Pisgah stage race, and most people probably know Gunnar from Iron Cross, so he's very capable of putting on a race, and half the time you wouldn't even know that I wasn't there. I actually walked by one lady from the food, and I was like, "Hey, how was your day?" And she was kind of looking at me really weird. So it's kind of like, I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm not the face of this race." So she probably thought I was just some weirdo.
So looking at the flip flop between North Carolina and Pennsylvania, you've got March, April, May, June. Then you go down to Holly Shelter in July, and then August, September. You got something every month. So that's rough.
Stay busy.
So Parker Dam gravel grinder, the next one up, that's May 11th. So just about a month later. And I noticed that a lot of your races carry that same distance and elevation. This one looks a little bit flatter, 72 miles and 6,000 feet, 50 miles and 4,000, and 23 miles and 1,700. Talk to us a little bit about Parker Dam.
Yeah, Parker Dam's a little different than Bald Eagle. There's maybe like one real big climb there that I can think of off the top of my head. It's a great place for gravel. It's part of the Moshannon State Forest. I actually grew up 20 minutes from there. So I grew up going to Parker Dam State Park. Funny thing is, we call it Parker Dam State Park, but we actually start and finish out at S.B. Elliott State Park, which is like the sister park to that one. So I originally wanted to start and finish out of Parker Dam, and then I was dealing with the forest, and then we got moved into the permits with the park, and they're like, "You got to start over here," which turned out to be a lot better because SB Elliott's just more of a camp state park and pavilions, so like picnic pavilions. So it actually kind of gives us the place all to ourselves, to where Parker Dam is pretty popular park in our area, so it's a lot busier, and we do ride through there. But like I said, it's a little nicer over there. But yeah, like you're saying, a little less climbing. Like I said, there's only one really big climb that off the top of my head that I can think of. I changed the route up. We don't do this other climb. There used to be a second really big climb, but that's out now. So we actually get to descend that for the most part. So people can thank me later for that one, I guess. But this is a nice one. This is another one where some people will stay for the weekend.
Okay.
SB Elliott, like I said, there's probably 30 to 40 non-electric spots, about 150 yards, 200 yards from the start to finish. So nice. I know some people stay there in the weekend. Parker Dam, it's like 7 miles away. It has 100 to 120 spots with electric and non-electric. So a lot of people bring their RVs in. There's a lot to do there at that park for the families. They have a big lake there, canoes and stuff like that. I don't know when they start that for the season. I don't know if that's open yet, but some nice hiking trails around there. We used to do a run race out of there a couple years back. So a lot of this stuff, unfortunately, I didn't really get to appreciate until after I moved out of the area. So it's kind of wish I still lived there to participate in the hiking around there and, just the riding. So, again, just another great place to bring the family, come race, stay for the weekend, stuff like that. So
nice. So how many folks for that one?
That's another 300 cap. 300, yeah, that one's sold out our first 2-3 years. I think we were just shy, maybe 5-10 people last year or something like that. Okay. So, it's a really good one about the time of year when the weather starts getting perfect.
Right.
Beginning of May. So nice kind of bibs and short sleeve and don't sweat too much kind of day. So
I love those. Perfect. Okay,
for sure.
So now jumping out of May towards the end of June, Camp Michaud gravel grinder. You got, again, 3 distances, 70, but 7,700 feet, a 51 with 6,000 feet, and a 26 with 3,000 feet. So we're jumping up with Camp Michaud to more than that 100 plus feet per mile on these routes. What's the deal? What's going on with Camp Michaud?
Yeah, Camp Michaud is going to be a new event for us this year. I've been kind of on a wait list with Michaud Forest for a few years to do events, so we're
Okay.
actually going to be doing a mountain bike on Saturday and then the gravel races on Sunday.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited for that. The mountain bike race sold out the first day. We opened the registration, so everybody's pretty excited to race some mountain bikes back in Michaud again. I'm pretty excited for this. I never really got the chance to go down there until the fall last year when I was kind of doing the recon for this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful area. I mean, the hype for that forest is legit. The mountain bike trails were a lot of fun. I got out there for a couple of days riding that. Rode some of the gravel roads while I was doing the mountain bike, but I haven't got my gravel bike out there yet, unfortunately. But obviously driving all the roads. I mean, it's another beautiful area. And that's just one part of the forest that we're kind of in. So it's kind of one of those multi areas separated by some state roads and things like that. So, yeah, really looking forward to this one.
Nice. And is this one that you can make a weekend out of as well? Like, is there camping or is it somewhere close by for folks to stay?
Yeah, there's a few. I mean, obviously, we already have some people signed up for the mountain bike and the gravel. Like I said, unfortunately for others that may not have got in the mountain bike, that's sold out, but we still have, I think, 100 spots for the gravel left. I assume that to sell out before the race because we're limited to 200 people for each race, unfortunately. So I don't know if we'll be able to go off that 200. Hopefully I can convince the force to go a little higher in years, the future years. But, obviously it's their force, their rules, and happy to abide by that. And, just thankful to let us in there. They have a lot of events in there, but not many cycling. So pretty excited to be getting back in there. There's that other gravel ride, I guess you would call it, Michaud gravel. It's in September, I think, towards the end of the month, if I remember correctly. So that'd be another one for people to check out if they come to ours like this one. Check that one out as well.
Yeah, we just had them on the podcast a couple few weeks ago to talk about Michaud gravel. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so I know they start out of Caledonia State Park.
Yes.
That's maybe 5-10 minutes from where we're starting our race. So we kind of start where the ATV trails are in the Flat Rock Trail System area. If people are familiar with that, there's 2 huge parking areas. So one parking area will be for our parking, and the other one's going to be our start-finish area. So we'll have plenty of room there. The Caledonia has some camping there people can go to. I know there's another private one just maybe a mile up from us. I'm not familiar with the name, but if people would good with Google, I'm sure they could find that. And there's also another state park just down the road. God, I'm blank on.
Oh, you're right there.
Pine Grove Furnace. Yeah, that's not too far as well. So that's another state park. People can make a weekend of there. Like I said, if they're into mountain bike and gravel, this would be, we'll probably continue this on the same weekend in years, in the future years. So
that's fun. That's fun to be able to do like that back-to-back kind of thing.
For sure.
And there's so much crossover. So now it's July. People are down at Holly Shelter. They've left the goodness of Pennsylvania and they've gone to North Carolina for the month of July. Now we come back in August to Pennsylvania for Mid-State Gravel Grinder. A little bit milder again on the elevations. So you got the 70 mile at 5,500 feet, the 48 at 4, and the 28 at 2,300. So we're getting just under that 100 feet per mile. Talk to us about Mid-State. Where is it, and what's special about it?
Yeah, Mid-State's just outside of Phillipsburg, Pennsylvania. Probably an hour to start finish from State College. Probably more like 45 minutes, depending where you're coming from in State College. So, nice area there. It's another section of Mushan State Forest where we do Parker Dam, but these ones actually have separation in between them, so they're probably 45 minutes apart. And this is probably the least amount of climbing out of all of the races in the series. So, really nice race. This is probably if you like fast gravel, this is probably some of the smoothest gravel I've seen in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
We always have fast days out here. I mean, the long course guys, even the mid course, they're probably averaging 20 miles per hour at least.
Wow.
So it's a nice fast day. We do a stage with the Trans-sylvania Gravel Epic out of here as well on our second stage. So, people travel an hour for that stage, and there's usually no complaints on the hour drive after they've ridden around there and see how nice it is. So, great views on there. We have one little area that kind of throws some people off. There's this road called Tram Road. It's about 5-6 miles long, and the last mile descends on kind of a rocky terrain. So it's kind of one of those washed out roads. They haven't put any gravel down. So all the dirt's washed out, and it gets to be a little bumpy ride. So, if you got some of those Lauf bikes or whatever however you pronounce that, with the shocks on there. Like I know I have a Specialized Diverge, has a little shock in the stem. Like those certainly come in handy there. It's kind of one of those like love-hate. Some people love it. Other people are a little upset with me after the race if they don't know about it. But
it's one of those things where you've got, now it sounds like you've got a couple of opposing tire choices at your disposal, because a one little section like that you can look at and say you might want to consider beefing that tire up a little bit, but then the rest of the course is fast and smooth. So which direction do you go? And that's a strategic choice that folks have to make, especially if they're a part of the series and they're racing it. You've really got to take that into account. So I like that little curveball. Some folks don't like it, but hey.
Yeah, I mean, it's my favorite road out there, so we're never going to take it out. It's got some great views at the top, so we're just going to have to deal with the bottom part, I guess. And
you have to figure it out. You have to figure it out. Or take that skinny tire and go a little slower and pick it apart, or beef it up and let the chips fall where they may. So
I guess
go ahead.
I was going to say, I haven't heard of many flat tires out of there, so the little skinnier or the slicker tires may be the way to stay. Hey, you never know though. I mean, obviously, it changes every year, but I'm not saying there haven't been flat tires, but nobody comes back and complain to me about them. So
it's not a volume thing. It's not a volume thing. So now it's September. We're wrapping up the gravel series. It's Trough Creek Gravel Grinder, 71 miles, 6,200 feet, 41, 3,500, and the 34-mile distance at 3,100 feet. What's Trough Creek look like?
Yeah, Trough Creek, this will be the second year. Last year was our first year for it. I wasn't really sure what to expect because it's kind of, we have a few sections we go behind some gated areas, like some snowmobile trails that they use in the winter months. It actually turned out to be a lot of the racers' favorite course of the year, so that really surprised me. Like I've said before, what I think is great doesn't matter. I'm not the one paying to race and stuff like that. So, and this is another race that's a loop system, at least for the long course. We'll do 2 inner loops. We start in a Racetown Lake kind of day use pavilion area, boat launch area. Then we make our way into the forest. So this is a section of Rothrock Forest, the Trough Creek section, and then there's also Trough Creek State Park that we go into first. So we'll be on a state road, township road, and then we'll turn left onto this gated dirt road. It takes you into the state park, and then we go down, and there's a footbridge, nice little wooden footbridge over a nice creek there that most people rode over, and then you'll have to dismount up the stairs. There's a side dirt part that the crazy people would maybe try to go, or as they say, cross is coming in September, so a little early cross training for some people. But get in the park. It's not a big state park like most. It's surrounded by the state forest. Really big climb to start there, taking you out of the park and into the forest, and then get through that, and that's kind of shortly after that's where the snowmobile areas start. So there's 3 different sections. Actually, I'm sorry, 4 different sections. Like I said, I wasn't sure what other people were going to think about them, but they're pretty well packed down, so it's nothing terrible. I liked it for the fact that it's almost kind of like mountain biking, to where you're like in the woods compared to on a road. It's still a road, but you there's no vehicles in there, nothing else. So it's a nice little
I like that.
Something different. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, it's like, have you ever done Iron Cross? Like Gunner was there last year helping us, and I kind of said, this is, like a mini train for Iron Cross. It's not as, off-roady as Iron Cross can be, but, I think it's it's a month before Iron Cross. So like a good little pre-race for Iron Cross if you're doing that race, or obviously to end the series. So and at Trough Creek State Park, there's a lot of great views in there. You kind of come through there. There's a nice iron bridge that you go over when you come back into the park, and then it goes pavement at that area, and you go along a river with some big rock walls on the left side, and they've made a really nice retaining wall with the river. So again, that's just kind of stuff I like about Pennsylvania. So if that's kind of your thing, this is a great place to check out. And it's about 20-30 minutes outside of Huntington, Pennsylvania. So that's where I stay at in there. I guess the bad thing is it's around football season for Penn State. So the hotel prices can be up a little bit. But I know Gunner and another one of our staff members, they stayed at a campground just up the road. Unfortunately, I'm not familiar with the name, but I know Racetown Lake has quite a few campgrounds. Trough Creek State Park has a campground. It's only got maybe 30-40 spots, so I know those ones fill up pretty quickly. We did have some racers stay there last year, I saw. So there's plenty of camping in the area, hotels in Huntington, like I was saying.
And I'll give folks a tip. The campgrounds in the Racetown Lake area, they take their rules seriously, speaking from a guy who got kicked out of Dirt Fest. So
oh yeah,
watch yourself. Just watch yourself. Just do that. Can I put you on the spot for a second? Now that we've run through all these events, I'll put you on the spot for a second. Which one of them is your favorite from a course perspective?
I mean, course perspective, I'd have to go with I'd say Bald Eagle or Trough Creek. I mean, Michaud is probably going to be up there. I just, with it still being new, I guess newer to me. I've only been in there a few times with, just doing the stuff in the fall. But I mean, just view wise, I'd say Bald Eagle and Trough Creek are probably my two favorites. I'm pretty biased with Parker Dam just because that's where I grew up. That's another great one, but that's just kind of like a typical PA forest and stuff like that. So I mean, it's probably my third favorite. And I mean, it's hard to rank them all. I mean, they're all great places. They all have their pros and cons and their specialness to them and things like that. You know what I mean? So, but I would say Trough Creek and Bald Eagle are probably my upper tier two.
I was going to ask you which one may have the best sort of weekend vibe, but even though it hasn't been run, it sounds like Michaud's going to pull the trigger on that one because it's got the mountain bike race and the gravel race all kind of wrapped together. So that's a pretty cool vibe. That's hard to beat. Yeah,
that's a good one for that. And then obviously like Trough Creek weekend, you're probably 20-30 minutes away from Alagrippus Trails, where the Dirt Fest used to be. So come ride that Saturday if you want. That's another Trough Creek's another one we do on Sundays. It was just kind of fell in that way. I was more worried about the football weekends. And then I think the parks are always tough to do races in just for the fact that, they're a lot busier than the forest. So it's kind of a give and take with the park to be allowed to do it. We did it on a Sunday compared to Saturday since people were leaving, Sundays. So it's a little less, I mean, really it's better for the racers too, less crowded on the roads, for everybody to be riding and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I mean, Trough Creek's another one you can make a weekend of it. Bring the family. Like I said, there's I think, what is it? Racetown Resort or something like that. It's a really big area right beside where we do start finish. I don't know much about the place. I kind of went in and out there a few times. They have 100 camping spots, 100 cabins and things like that. So that would be that's kind of like in their off season there. So there wasn't much moving around when I was in there, which could be a good thing. You have a little less crowded. And like I said, it's probably 2 miles from the start finish. So another one of those opportunities to bring the family, depending on what families like to do. There's another place, another great place for hiking in Trough Creek State Park. You got the trails there in Racetown they can check out as well. And then Huntington's a cool place to take a little view around as well. So
nice. I've been to Huntington. I actually have a friend of mine that grew up there, and I went back there with him one time. We went to just to visit the area. It's kind of cool. It's a cool place.
Yeah, we went actually last year, Gunner. I guess the night before the race, we went to this little like dive bar downtown. I'm blank on the name to it now, but it was just a really neat play, kind of like 90s grunge band music playing. And it was just kind of like great food too. I ended up getting like a meatball hoagie and fries. And I mean, it was definitely going to be a place I hit up every year now after we found that one out. So.
Cool. Then don't tell anybody the name of it because that'll change the vibe. Just keep that for yourself.
You have to find it on your own.
So tell me, if folks are looking to find out more information about the North Carolina races, the Pennsylvania races, the gravel series, any of that information, and of course how to register, where should they go?
Yeah, our website's obviously a great place, Trans-sylvania Productions.com. There is 2 S's with a dash in between it with Transylvania. I know it's kind of hard to spell.
Hard to say, too. I found that out.
Yeah. I mean, the funny thing was with Blue Ridge Adventures just took over. The county in Brevard is actually Transylvania, but there's only 1 S and 1 full word. So people always they get confused when I bring my Transylvania stuff into Brevard area. Or even before that, they're like, oh, you in Brevard? I'm like, no, totally different thing. So
how many people tell you spelled it wrong?
Yeah, I had that. I actually went to a gas station one time in Brevard, and the lady's like, what's this Trans-sylvania Productions? You do movies? So I'm like, no, different Transylvania. So,
well, obviously, I'll put a link to the show notes. So, don't worry about spelling it. Go to the show notes when you're looking for all the things, to go to the show notes. So all the links will be there, and I'll run them all down for everybody. So, and then of course, Bike Reg, I'm sure.
Yep. Yeah, everything's on Bike Rig. If you go to one of our websites, on the top left corners, there's a register on Bike Leg logo. You can click that, and it has all of our Trans-sylvania Productions and Blue Ridge Adventures races on a list, or you can go to Bike Rig and just search the race name and their search column there. So, but yeah, Bike Rig's the place to go for sure.
Cool. Well, thank you for running all that down. I mean, we went through a lot of races. We covered a lot of ground, and it's really cool. That's very nice to be able to actually hit so many events in one episode. So thank you for that. Now, you've been here before, so you know the drill. You want to stick around for this or that? Please say thank you.
Yes. Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. First one, and I'm going to toss it over to you to go first. Domino's or Papa John's?
Papa John's.
Really? What makes you a Papa John's guy?
It's the bad thing living in a big town. Some of the quality can be bad. Yeah. So I just Papa John's was the closest place. We've actually moved on from Papa John's because they shut that one down, unfortunately. But I would say Papa John's over Domino's.
Yeah. I'm 6.5, half dozen of the other. I tend to go to Domino's because it's kind of the one I think about first. But I don't really do either one of them that much anymore. We have one of those mod pizzas in town now. And, you make it in front of you and you get what you want on it. And it's your way. It's kind of like Burger King of pizza. Have it your way. So I'll go with mod over either one of them. But if I had to choose between the two, I'd go Domino's. Second item, The Office or Seinfeld?
Oh, man, I'm not really a fan of either of those. But I'd probably say Seinfeld over Office. I'm not really, even a Pennsylvania guy, I never really liked The Office.
Yeah, okay. It's hard to get through, I'll be honest with you. Sometimes there are a couple of seasons that aren't really great, and the first season's kind of offbeat and off-putting, and but I go back now and I watch some old episodes of Seinfeld. I don't seek them out, but sometimes they're just on, at weird times, and I watch them, and they hold up. They really do. Right. They really do hold up. It's so quirky and weird. Third item, spring or fall?
I would say fall, just for the fact of where I live. It's the same season year round. So I love getting up Pennsylvania in September, October, and seeing the leaf change and whatnot. So yeah, I'm definitely I would say a fall guy, and football's in. So
yeah.
It's another plus.
I've always been a spring guy. I love coming out of winter because I'm not a fan of winter. That's
why I moved south.
The older I get, the worse it is, the more I want to be away from it. So I've always been like this. I love that change of the season going into the warmth, but there is something really special about fall. So I'm going to pick fall right now because I'm feeling that way. This one is always controversial. And I had to throw it in here. We've done it before. You may have actually answered this before. North Carolina or Pennsylvania?
Oh, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
My family hails from North Carolina, and I'm picking Pennsylvania. Through the course of doing this podcast, I have come to fall in love with Pennsylvania. There's no doubt about it. It has so much to offer. So much to offer.
Yeah. I mean, they're both great states, but obviously, I think the point that makes me go are just being born and raised in Pennsylvania. You know, it's I mean, again, both great places. I mean, Western North Carolina is amazing with the mountains there, and obviously, I do a bunch of events there. So I'm thankful for the fact that I get to go out there all the time and work and just go play. But yeah, I mean, by far Pennsylvania. My family's still there. I would probably live there if it wasn't for my immediate, my wife and kids with their jobs and being in school down south here, and that kind of stuff's kind of kept me down here. But I think the nice thing too, living at the beach, I kind of appreciate the mountains of Pennsylvania more, getting to visit it compared to just living there all the time. So I don't get sick of it like a lot of people may where you live. So
that happens. That happens for sure. Absolutely, absolutely. Now I do want to throw a bone out to my North Carolina folks because I love North Carolina too.
For sure.
It comes down to. I mean, this is really tough for me to answer because I love them both, and I got family in North Carolina, and I love the fact that you've got the mountains in the west, you've got the beaches, out east, and just a lot of good people in the middle. So, got to make a choice though. You got to make a choice.
I mean, I'm not talking bad about North Carolina. I don't want my registrations to go down North Carolina from this. So, I mean, I live in South Carolina, but North Carolina is I'll take North Carolina over South Carolina though, so that should give me some bonus points there.
I do love I do love. You know what? I think the tying bond between the two states is Appalachia. There's something special about those people, and I really do appreciate.
For sure.
What they offer. So there's a bond there between those two places that is special. Any other things you want to throw out before I shut this thing down?
No, I think we've covered a lot today, obviously.
We'll just tell people to go register. Get on it. What are you waiting for? Hey, I wanted to point out, though, I noticed when I was going through the website, you've kept your registration fees low at a time where everybody seems to be bumping them up, which is it's fair. Everybody's got their different things, but I feel like your prices have stayed, relatively consistent and low.
Yeah, I try to keep them. I mean, everything's under $100. The long course is 100, and each race is the same price, which since they're basically the same distance. Yeah. So the gravel races in PA are $100 for the long course, $80 for the mid course, and what is it, 70 for the short course. And it's hard. I mean, like I've been doing this since 2018, 2019 full time. Since COVID, really, as everybody knows, the inflation, my aid station supplies cost me almost double what it used to. The insurance world's going crazy. I mean, I use 4 or 5 different insurance companies because I can only get, some insurance, from some people for certain races, like my stage races, I use one company for the Pisgah stage race in North Carolina, but I use a different company for the stuff in Pennsylvania, and the other ones cost me a couple grand more than the other. And it's kind of frustrating on my side of things that, the costs for, people don't realize what it costs to put races on, but, I don't make a huge profit doing this. Not why I do it. I mean, I love the people, the events are great, and it's kind of, as they say, if you're doing a job you love, it's not really work kind of thing. So, I've done a lot of different jobs from my time in the Marines to contracting in Afghanistan and Iraq a couple of years. I was in the golf business when I first moved to Myrtle Beach, and hotel management business. This is by far my favorite thing I've done, and hopefully I can continue to do it. And like you said, I try to keep the prices down. And I know some, I don't try to fault people for their prices. I mean, everybody's got different expenses. Like when you get into national forest, they take a cut of your revenue. State parks are kind of the same way. So it's just, people don't get rich doing this. The expenses are high, especially if they don't have big numbers. I've had races where I have a good profit. I have other races where I break even or, make a very small profit. So me doing this as a living, some of the races that are the bigger profits kind of even out to my lower profits, so I can, do this for a living and, keep bringing everybody good races and that. But yeah, I always try to keep the prices fair as I can. I'm not saying other people's prices aren't fair, but like I said, everybody has their own expenses that people don't realize, and
Sure.
it's a little easier for me doing a lot of events. I can kind of tie some things together. Yeah, and
you got economies. You've got economies when you're doing, 8 gravel races and 6 mountain bike races and running races. You've got costs that you can spread over all of them, and obviously you're passing that along to the racer. So that's fantastic. That's great.
That's the bonus to doing 2 events in the same weekend too, logistics wise. You can kind of put the insurance in one event for 2 events really, and like the staff. A lot of the most of my staff now is all paid. Which obviously puts my expenses up, but it makes for a better day for the racers having the same people knowing what to do. I don't have to teach volunteers. Nothing against volunteers if they've never done this stuff before. They don't know what to do, so you almost have to train them. I mean, it's rocket science, but just like any job, you put somebody out there the first day, you try to tell them just to go, they're not gonna.
Doing bike tours, I know what it's like when you have professional. I do a big event where we have professional paid staff that does this a lot, that has the opportunity to understand the tasks at hand, and then we have a volunteer set at the same time. And you can, when you put them both together, you can really see the differences.
Oh, for sure.
You can really see the differences. So it's good. It's good to have that consistency across, and it supports the brand too. It makes sure that the experience level is high, and your racers keep coming back. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, we got the. I want to throw a little shout out to John and Becky Davison. If people have raced in Pennsylvania, you probably knew what I'm talking about. But I know those 2 run my aid stations for most of our PA events, and a lot of people come to race just to see them sometimes. Nice. So it's kind of nice, like you said, just having the same people, they know what they're doing. The people race every time, love seeing the familiar faces, and get to know each other by name, and things like that. So that's a plus to it as well.
Well, Ryan, thank you again for joining me and talking about all these events. Fantastic conversation as always. Folks, make sure, I'm going to put the link in the show notes to go over and check that out, and go ahead and get registered and plan your weekend adventures. That's the way to do it. And it is about time to shut this down for the week. Thanks everybody for listening to this episode of Mid-Atlantic Gravel, Travel, and Dirt. If you've enjoyed the podcast, maybe consider joining our Patreon family. Get your sticker of the month. We're really firing off some good ones right now. Wait for that gravel pie to come out. Thank you, Jeremiah Bishop. Folks looking to get in touch with us, graveltraveldirt.com, Instagram at MidAtlanticGTD. We're recorded this week from, one more time, in my closet, surrounded by clothing, all the way down to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Thanks for riding along. Till next time, do good, be nice, go slow, respect others. Love you, bye.